Okay, so in this video I'm going to show how I deal with getting these connectors onto these CAT5 cables. Okay, this is they're called an RJ45 connector, and these are the three tools that I need to use to successfully make it happen. This is a stripper, this is your crimper, and then this is your tester. Now, I just briefly want to show the difference between this is a CAT5 cable and this is a CAT6. The CAT5, at least the one I have, is a thicker wire. The wires inside are thicker than this one. This is a thinner one. And the other thing that's different is when I use my stripper here, I'm just gonna I'll just show you how when I strip, I twirl this around, and then I don't. When I pull this off, I don't yank and pull it off. I take it out of engagement mode, and then see how it's free flowing here. I just pull it off, pull it away, and then I just pull by hand. Okay, so this is CAT5, and these wires, there's 4 pairs like normal, but these are these are I don't know if they're 20 gauge, something like that. You know, they're thicker wires. Now this one here, it's your CAT6, and again, just twirl it around 2 or 3 times and pull it out free form, and like that. And see, these wires are smaller, and they swirl around. They're formed around this plastic tube in the middle, and this tube is twisting, so these twist along with it. It's supposed to bring down the problems with crosstalk doing that. I'm not sure what that what all of that means. I just really, my goal is just to get this connector on the end of the cable and plug things in and get going. So so I'm going to start over again. We're going to use the CAT6 cable here. So I'm going to cut that off. Excuse me. Now, so first thing I want to do is I want to get my boot on the cable. So I have my, put that boot on here. And what that boot's going to do is it's going to cover this part here that helps the connector to stay in when it's plugged in. See, and then when you get that boot on, you want that piece that's sticking up to be underneath here. So you want to be underneath that piece of rubber right there. Okay, so we're gonna push that guy back. Okay, now I've watched videos from a long time ago and more recently about how the people do this, and I couldn't get the connector on. From what I was watching, I didn't have the skill set necessary. They were crunching all the wires together and getting them all in at once, and I don't know, it wasn't working for me. So I came up with a way that, hey, if I can do it, I'm like one of those guys, if I can do it, then anybody can do it. So let's see here. So what I'm going to do is put this guy inside my stripper. Now what I want to do is, from the middle of this approximately, I want to see 3 inches out to the end of the cable. And if it's more than 3 inches, that's great. If it's less than 3 inches, I really want 3 inches at least. And I'm going to show you the reason why that you really want this much length of cable. So then we're going to come around here a bunch of times, press it in, take it out freeform, and then slide this off. Okay, here we go. Now we got our 4 twisted pair: green, blue, orange, and brown. And then what I like to do is I like to get the get rid of this plastic piece in the middle here. So I fold all those back, and I just go down here, not make sure I'm just not cutting those wires. Also, I just get it right in there. Okay, And the other thing I want to mention is that the reason why you want to use a stripper like this is because the blade inside of there is it has a dead stop so that it doesn't cut these wires right where you're cutting. So you don't if you try to use this kind of a thing to trim the wires, or God knows what else you might try. I don't know, one of these X-Acto knives here. I've seen people do this. Good luck. This is just like a $10 tool. It's worth every penny. Okay, so we got our wires now. We got our 3 inches of wire here. So now what you want to do is separate these, and then you want to try to straighten as much as possible here. So it's almost like you're sewing or something here. So you want to get each one of these guys as straight as you can. And then they're not going to be very cooperative with getting straight, but you can get them approximately. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight. There's an arrow and all that good stuff. And what I do is I come at it at different angles. So from this angle, from that angle, because this was twisted. So the curvature of the wire is very funky here. Okay, we got those two. We do a brown and white here. Okay, and get that going so it's straight as we can get it. And get this one here. Okay, and then we got our green and white here. Doesn't matter which one you straighten out first, it just doesn't matter, whatever one. Just get them all approximately straight, just get that curve out of it. You want to get that, especially on the ends here. You want these ends to be straight as you can get them. Okay. Let's see, here we go. This one here seems a little, see how that's got that blip on the end there. So let's try to get that straightened out there. Okay. Okay, now these RJ45 connectors, there's 2 types, and this is the newer type. And these cost a little more, not much more, it's a little more. But these are what you call pass-through. And without the pass-through, I was never able to get one of these on the end successfully until these came out. So this pass-through, the wire goes in and it passes right through. Okay, so it doesn't. The old ones it would stop right inside, and you can only go so far with it, and so you had to take all these wires and put them all in the right order and get them all in there at the same time, and I couldn't do it. So see, people who can do it, it's a skill set, that's for sure. It's just one I don't possess. So okay, so now let me say something about these guys. So the inside of this, I've drawn it already here, but the inside of this is like it's built with a little curvature, like a funnel, if you will, and then it funnels the wire to the hole, so that when you put the wire inside, it's going to funnel down towards the hole. So the wire is not just all over the place; it actually funnels to the hole. So that's a very good design idea they got there. Now what I want to do is I already have a connector on the other end. In this particular case, you may be putting a connector on both ends, but you want to put them on both the same way. And so on this one on the other end here, I can see that the orange and white wire is at this end of the connector. So this tab thing is on the bottom. I like to keep that on the bottom when I put them on, put the wires in. And so it's orientated the same as this. So I know that this guy here is going to be where my orange wires go. Now this is the crimper, and the crimper has the code on it here. So I'm going to be following, and I'm going to orientate it the same way that I'm holding this. So here's the one I want is the B. This because it's the orange, and the orange is here as opposed to the green being first. The orange is first. So it's going to be the orange striped orange, green striped blue, blue striped green, brown striped brown. Okay, so that's the order that we have to put these wires inside here. Okay, so the first wires is usually a piece of cake. And that'll be the orange and white. So let's get that one there. Okay, and holding that like that. So, and I'm pushing this way over to the edge. I'm trying to go up with it, not trying to go directly in. See, so I'm pushing up toward the edge, and then I want to make sure that that comes out of that very first hole. So you've got these little holes. That is the pass-through hole. You want to make sure it comes out of that hole on the end. You're not one hole off. Okay. Otherwise, it's going to happen. You won't have a hole available on the end for your 8th wire. Okay, so there's the first one, and this is why I like to use the longer wires, because now I can move this up here, and then I can take this and bend it over. And see, now it's not going to come falling back out on me, and it gives me just stability. I've got like control over it, if you want to say it that way. So next one's going to be the solid orange, and I'm going to put that in the same way, pushing up at a diagonal direction. And then I can see that it's coming up right next to it. And then I'm going to go ahead and bend that one over too. Now they're bent over. Now I like to come back and just pull them a little bit, straighten them out in there. Okay, now my next one's going to be green and white. So this is the green and white wire here, and I go in at an angle, and I come out, and there's my green and white. Bend that over, okay, and then I need my blue. I think it's blue. Green and white blue, solid blue. So now see how I get enough room here to bend this and play around. It gives me room to do things where if this was shorter, if it's shorter, it doesn't work. Okay, so bend that one over there. There's my blue, and then my blue and white. Okay, get that in. Okay, now that came out one hole over, so we're gonna take it back out and try again here. There we go. So that's my blue and white, and then green. I'm just going to pull on these guys here a little bit just to get them straightened out of the way, and then my green wire is going to come in. And that comes in. Push that over, pull it, and then brown and white. Okay. It's like you're threading a needle repeatedly. Okay, and then the brown wire. Okay, so once I get my brown wire through, then I just grab all of the wires. Okay, so there we go. So there's our connector on there. Now, what I want to do is just kind of orientate everything a little bit here. And now I want to double check. I got orange and white orange. Green and white green. Green and white blue. Blue and white green. And then brown and white and brown. Okay. So now I can pull this in. Now what I want to do is this guy here, I want him to go inside as far as I can get it without so I'm pushing it in there, but I'm not using the force like I was like excessive force. So I'm just just snugging it in there is a good way to say it. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is now I've got these guys here. Now I'm going to take these and twist them, especially on the end here. Okay, this is where you want this part here. Okay, we're going to get ready to crimp this. Okay, so now we're ready to crimp, and we want this to go in with this guy here up, because that's that slot there. You can't put it in the other end. You can see it won't even go any of the blades in the way. And that's the thing that you want to get this, got to get it by that blade. So I put it in and have it come out. And so that's why I like to twist the wires, otherwise the wires get caught in there. Then when you put this in, it'll snap in, and then it'll it's in there. Okay, then what I do is I just give another little tug here, just make sure, and then I'm pulling on this, tugging on it. I'm not, nothing extreme, and we're all set to go. And then I'm ready to crimp, and I do my crimp. Okay. Now when I want to take this out, I just go up that way with it, and it'll come right out. All right. And now we have our connector on there. Now we can put the boot on here. Okay, and I'm making sure that this plastic piece is underneath the green here, doesn't go on the top, but underneath. All right. It's not exactly the same color, but that's life. Okay, so all right, now what we want to do is we want to test our cable, make sure that our cable is correctly wired. So that's this tester here. So what I like to do with this tester is I like to put it in fault mode first. So I just push the button. It'll come up and say it's open. There's nothing connected to it, so it would be open. And so this was the other end that either put in earlier or was already there. Maybe you're repairing the end of a cable, whatever. Okay, and I'm going to take this guy and put it in the other end here. All right, and then I'll push my test button, and we got a good reading. So none of these guys are red, so we know that we're good to go here. All right, so we know our cable is good. Now, if the cable had a problem, you'd have to chop it and start completely all over again. There is no opening it up and uncrimping. You're done. You got to chop it and push the boot back and try again. Okay, so now, usually the other end of this now is it's going to be sticking out of the wall. So you can pretend there's a wall here, and there's usually going to be a box, and so what I like to do is I like to use the what's called the Keystone technology. So this is a Keystone connector here, and it's just an RJ45. It's the female, and so this is going to plug in there, okay, and then the computer, on the other side is going to plug in this side. So we want to still do some more testing. We know our cable is good, but we're going to make sure about things. So this is the Keystone plate, and so notice one side here has a piece sticking out. That's where this floppy piece goes. So you put this in at an angle, so you don't try to go straight in with it. You got to get this piece right here, this little plastic piece sticking up. You got to get that in there first. So you go at an angle and get that in there first. See, so now it's catching, and then you turn, and then this just clips on there. Okay, so this will go on the inside. All right, now you want to test this before you go screwing this all on and everything, because you don't want to plug your computer in here and then have your computer not work and you don't know if something happened. So what we're doing is we're testing this Keystone piece. Now I'm going to use this small extension. I bought like 10 of these for $6. I didn't make these up myself, but I'm going to plug this extension in here, and then I'll plug this in here. And now before I do that, I want to put this in fault mode, and then plug this in here, and then check it for that's good. Okay, now what I left out in all of this fun and games here was that this connector here is going to be where your router is. It's going to be some other room. This is going to be some bedroom, could be up on the third floor, the second floor, on the other side of the house. So, so how do we test? You know, where this cable's so far away from here, these are a long distance. How do we test? And so the thing about these testers is that this actually comes out of here. So when I plug this in here, this acts as a remote, and so I can go over to the other room with my short cable, plug it into here. Now this thing doesn't, it's not a Wi-Fi or nothing like that. It's just it's wired up to return, so that it tells it that the wires are wired correctly. So there's no batteries and nothing in here. Okay, so so I'm going to disconnect this from here, put this in fault mode, and then put this in here and test it, so I've got a good connection. Now, what I usually do also is when I'm first going to use one of these guys, I usually have a piece of something I'll put on here and say, you know, known good, you know. So so it's a good idea to plug this, and again, get that in fault mode first, and then plug it in. And you want to make sure that the cable that you're using for testing, oh, that fell out of here. Okay, so you want to make sure that the cable you're using for testing is correct, because if this has a problem, and then you put it in here, and then you try to test, you know, then your test will fail, you know. So you don't want that to happen. You know, you don't want your testing cable to be bad, and then drive you crazy for another day or two. Okay, so that's how you test these, and I would 100% recommend using this this Keystone technology rather